Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk joining us right here on this edition of the Rich Eisen Show, 10 days from the NFL Draft. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great, Rich. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How do you think this Super League news is hit 345 Park Avenue with the owners of Arsenal and Manchester United coming from membership in the NFL, Arsenal being owned by Stan Kroenke, and Manchester United owned by the reigning defending Super Bowl champion Buccaneer owners, the Glazers? Your thoughts on that,
I'll freely
Mike?
admit that my only knowledge of international soccer comes from periodically playing the FIFA game, which is an excellent game. It's a nice break from Madden from time to time when you're oversaturated on Madden. But there's so many leagues, and it's so hard to follow, and I like the idea of all the best teams being collected in one group. Apparently, FIFA doesn't like that idea, which makes it intriguing.
Not a lot of human beings do who aren't going to be made very rich about this. I guess my question would be is, this would never happen with the National Football League, because you're already hearing, well, this is what would happen if the Patriots and the Packers and the Steelers all decided to get together and separate. That would that's just a couple of cents on that subject.
Three key words: broadcast, antitrust exemption. If and when the thing under the law that keeps the NFL from getting sued by selling its TV rights as one block, so if you want the Cowboys, you also have to take the insert name of least desirable team at any given moment. I don't want to gratuitously. I'll deliberately piss off a fan base. I don't want to do it gratuitously. But if that ever goes away and it becomes like it is with Notre Dame, like it would be with Jerry Jones selling his rights, which surely he'd love to do, sell Cowboys rights only, and the other teams sell their rights only, I think the disparity in revenue would be so dramatic that something like that could kind of organically and spontaneously happen. That's years down the road. But with streaming's not broadcast, and there are some interesting legal questions that are going to pop up over the next 15 or 20 years about the NFL potentially violating antitrust laws and what that would mean and how that would spin out with the haves and the have-nots and the teams that can generate huge money on TV deals that they would cut themselves, as opposed to the teams that would be scrounging for whatever they could find. That would be the catalyst for something like this, where you could see the NFL split into two leagues, the Super League and a glorified minor league. That's not impossible.
Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. I guess let's talk about the here and now then. I kind of sensed it at the time when it's definitely Mac Jones. That's the reason why the Niners traded up. It's Mac Jones. There's no question it's Mac Jones. And now there's a town where the Raiders play, and Mo Green doesn't have a plaque or a signpost that believes it's Justin Fields now who the Niners decided to trade up and get. What are you hearing as we're 10 days away from finding out the answer to this question?
I have no idea what causes the betting markets to move. It was Trey Lance as the favorite. Then it was Mac Jones. Then Justin Fields has his pro day, which the media isn't at, and Ohio State selectively sends out clips. Well, they're not going to send out clips of any bad throws, if there were any. So I don't know how that reaction results in so much action landing on Fields that it skews the number. I go back to this. I don't think there's any way in hell that Kyle Shanahan packages ultimately 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick for a player to be determined later. He makes that move knowing who he wants. And at the very most, it's a process of confirmation. It's not a process of elimination. And look, you keep your options open because you never know what's going to happen. The guy's got to get through to the first night of the draft healthy. You always have to budget for the potential gas mask bong video dynamic, right? But they didn't make that move without knowing damn well who they wanted. And I think they kind of like the mystery, but there's a line there because you don't want to come off as a team that just threw all those assets together and said, well, okay, we know we're buying an expensive car. We'll just figure out which expensive car it's going to be at some point down the line.
Right. No, I know, and that's why I find that so hard to believe that's why, and plus you also have to walk into Jed York's office and say, this is what we're going to do. And Jed, definitely has delegated to Lynch and certainly Shanahan in a way that doesn't call in a question of him saying, you've got to run everything by me. But when you totally reconfigure your future drafts for somebody, I find it hard to believe that you go in and say, we're still going to just grind tape after this.
Yeah. Who you taking? I like your idea. Who you taking? I don't know. Oh, okay. I don't know how to spell his last name.
Right.
But I don't know it is. Yeah, and Rich, I pointed back to something Mike Shanahan, Kyle's dad, did 15 years ago when the Broncos paid no attention whatsoever, any way, shape, or form, to Jay Cutler, sprang up to number 11 with the Rams to take him, shocked everyone. Timing is the key. And for Kyle Shanahan, the timing was right because we know it's Lawrence 1, we know it's Wilson 2. You jump up to 3, and you own the board. Now, you don't have to turn in the name on the card, and I'm sure the NFL would prefer that they don't, that we have some mystery going into the first night of the draft, and I think that's what a lot of this is. They know who it is, regardless of who it is. And we don't know who it is, but we tend to think it's Mac Jones. But they know who it is, and I'd be stunned if that changes from the time they made the trade to move up to 3 until the time they put the name on the card.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, kicks off NBC Sports on Peacock lineup every day and ends it with Pro Football Talk Live and PFT PM right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So let's talk about the one thing that might be more vaulted than the Niners selection at 3rd overall, and that's the Patriots draft plans. The number of mock drafts that I see, including the one of my third-hour guest and Todd McShay, that has the Patriots moving up in some form, either to Atlanta at 4 or Dallas at 10, or in Todd McShay's case, the Giants at 11 to take a quarterback. I've lost track. What do you think the odds are on that? What, if there's anything that you can glean for the plans in the draft of a team that went hog wild in free agency in a manner we've never seen before?
Well, last week when Bill Belichick met with reporters, he dropped some hints that a player who may slip past 10 or 11, if he's there at 12 or 13, they could move up to get him. And, of course, everyone's thinking it's potentially a quarterback, and they've got to be thinking about a future quarterback. Here's the thing we have to remember. Number one, they haven't used a first-round pick on a quarterback since Drew Bledsoe in 1993, and that was years before Belichick became the head coach. Second, they love Cam Newton. They love Cam Newton. Cam Newton's there today. Off-season workouts, all these statements, all these memos, all this consternation about who's showing up and who's not showing up. Cam Newton's showing up. Cam Newton's putting in the work. They've just started to scratch the surface with what Cam Newton can be for them. The COVID situation last year derailed what was, if you go back and look at it week by week going early through the season, a promising start for the Patriots. It went off the rails once he missed that game that got moved to a Monday night, and they actually were giving the Chiefs all they could handle until Brian Hoyer had a meltdown right before the start of right before halftime and made a mistake, and it all fell apart after that.
Right.
Newton from the get-go, from the start of the offseason program, there every day, taking every rep, ready to go, exactly what they want going into his second season with the team. I think they want to see how far Newton can take them, and that would suggest to me whoever you take with that 15th pick, or if you trade down, you're looking for guys who can come in and help you win now. I think they're trying to find players who help them win now, not players who are going to potentially play at some point in the future. And I could see a quarterback later in the draft, but I'd be stunned if they take one at 15 or if they jump up to get one.
So then who's the one that jumps up to get one? Give me the ones that you think might jump up to get one.
Well, I think the Broncos could try to get into the top 5 if they decide that they want to move on from Drew Lock and there's an opportunity to be had to go up and get a guy. I don't rule out the Panthers if one falls to them, but I think that it's unlikely now that they have Sam Darnold that they would give up draft capital to move up. But the Broncos are the ones that I watch the most intently as a candidate to make a move into that upper echelon where we know it's going to go quarterback the first 3, and then at 4 and 5, that's going to be the opening for someone else to make that jump.
And what about the Bears? What about them? I mean, they're not too far down that if Jones or Fields or, Lance, who's having his second pro day today, falls into double digits in the same way that we saw, all these mock drafts of the Patriots. What about the Bears who took their YOLO in Russell Wilson's direction, which I assume is not going to re-spark between now and draft night, the Russell Wilson conversation?
Well, and you got the Bears and Washington back-to-back, and they both signed veteran guys, so it's not as obvious as it would have been
right.
that they're targeting a quarterback. I think in Chicago, and it becomes a great psychological experiment because you've got a coach and a GM who are generally regarded as being on the hot seat, even though they've been to the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. Go figure. So what helps you more? Does it help you more to trade future assets, to move up and get a young quarterback so they'll keep you around long enough to get that quarterback on the field? So we go Andy Dalton this year and get young quarterback ready for 2022. And how much of that thinking creeps into the assessment? It's human nature, I think, to be thinking about securing your job beyond this year. And how much will ownership go for that when they're thinking, well, we want to keep our options open at coach and GM after this year. We don't want to tie our hands with a quarterback that a new regime may not want. So I think there are complications with the Bears that would have to be worked through internally before they would do that. With Washington, hey, they're moving in the right direction. They're laying the foundation to be a pretty damn good team. Mm-hmm. And if they see an opportunity to jump up and get the guy that's going to take a team that is sneakily getting better and better and take it next level. I feel bad for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Second straight year, he gets tucked into the corner by a first-round draft pick. But I could see. I think of the two, Washington would seem more likely because I just think the Bears have to work through a lot of stuff to get to the point where they'd be willing to trade up.
A few more minutes left with Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk at Pro Football Talk on Twitter, Instagram, and across your digital platforms for sure. Right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Alex Smith retiring. What a beautiful video that his wife Instagrammed out about 10 minutes before we went on the air. Is it, I guess, an injury versus type of role question for him? Was he offered a backup position that he just figured it just wasn't worth it anymore? What do you know first blush about his decision process? Could TV be in the future for him? What are you thinking about?
When you're closing in on $200 million in career earnings, I think what you're being offered, the role you're being offered, and whether and to what extent you think it's going to result in you getting on the field, those are all factors. And I think his name came up not long ago as a possibility for the Texans to go along with Tyrod Taylor. I didn't see anyone out there, and I suspect he didn't see anyone out there who was willing to say, here's the keys to the car, here's the money that goes along with it. And I don't know whether people are just afraid of the injury that he had. I know every time I watched him play, I felt like watching my son in high school where on every play you're worried, is he going to break his leg or is there going to be some serious injury, and you're ready to run down to the field just because you care that much. And I started to feel that way about Alex Smith. So I don't know if there was no team out there that really wanted to put him in that position where he would be playing. I think he could be a great coach if he wants to do that, given the way he was so supportive of teammates when he wasn't able to play and how much he's learned and all the different offenses he knows and how he tutored Patrick Mahomes and he helped the guys in Washington even when there was no chance of him playing in 2019. So I think he could do a lot. A lot of these guys who have accomplished plenty as quarterbacks have the whole world open to them, and they're going to be successful whatever they do. And I think that's the beauty of it for Alex Smith. Money isn't an issue, and it never will be, so he can do whatever he wants to do.
So then again, we're 10 days away, Mike Florio, from the draft, and the who is the third overall pick is the biggest question, and then the domino tumble from that to the Falcons is the next biggest question. I just wonder what Kyle Pitts and his presence in this draft is going to essentially wind up looming. If I'm the Falcons, he is just way too great a prospect to pass up on, to give Matt Ryan the viability of his final years of a window, and then whoever they decide to hand the keys to the Falcons quarterback car to. What a great way to get him going with Calvin Ridley for a long time post Julio Jones. It just is too attractive to me. What do you think is going to happen with this gold jacket talent, according to Bucky Brooks?
Well, and I agree with you completely in the assessment of Pitts, but for the Falcons, how often are you in a position like this where you could draft the guy who potentially could take the baton from Matt Ryan and be your quarterback for another 15 years. It's been 13 years since Ryan was the third overall pick. And back then, I wrote something about this today. They were torn between Matt Ryan and Glenn Dorsey, who ended up going fifth overall to the Chiefs, an interior defensive lineman who never lived up to that draft status. But it was Arthur Blank. And look, one of the benefits of being a billionaire is you never have to issue direct orders. If the people around you are smart, they're going to pick up the vibe, right? They're going to pick up the vibe quickly. And Ryan's input and his desire to have a new face of the franchise post Mike Vick, because it was the first draft after Mike Vick and Bobby Petrino, and that franchise was in a complete and total tailspin. He wanted the new quarterback. He wanted Matt Ryan. And Peter King pointed out in Football Morning in America that Blank is fascinated with this crop of quarterbacks and understands they're not going to be in this spot on a regular basis. Now, Peter says Blank won't mandate anything, and again, that's the beauty of being Arthur Blank. You don't have to mandate it. And I think that if he wants to try to do a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers thing between Matt Ryan and whoever, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, whoever, he'll make it known. And then the question is, do the people who work for him pick up on it and act on it? So I won't be surprised if they end up going quarterback at number 4.
Yeah, and the only reason why Matt Ryan was available is because Parcells took Jake Long. You know,
yeah.
I mean, he went tackle, and again, that's the whole thing too. Is that I'm just sitting here thinking, is Kyle Pitts more of a sure thing than Trey Lance or Justin Fields? You got to have that conversation.
Oh, hey,
and
right.
So
I agree.
Right? You know what I mean? Like if you miss on the QB, I mean, you can't go through life wondering what the negative is based on a decision you feel good about. But to me, Kyle Pitts is just so surefire that you plug him in to Julio and Calvin Ridley. Not only can you win one with Matt Ryan, you can win one with whoever you can make the decision on. That it isn't just random. Like, okay, let me just see if it's Lance or if it's Fields. My gosh, that's our guy for sure. But Pitts, I mean, you hand him to somebody else, I would regret that. I don't know. I don't know. I spoke to him too on the show 1 week ago today, and I just I was infatuated. I had the Jerry Jones situation, you know?
Here's the key. If you hit on Pitts, it's like winning the $100,000 Powerball prize. It's a huge benefit, and it's going to go a long way. You hit on the quarterback, it's like winning the whole jackpot. And that's why I think we're looking at quarterback, and maybe for the first time ever, 4 for 4 quarterbacks off the board. Because look at how the rules have changed. Look at how these guys are playing deeper into their careers. This is another branch of the Tom Brady tree. Hey, you get the right guy, he's not just your guy for 10 years. There's a chance he's your guy for 20 years. And he's going to keep people employed. He's going to get people hired into other jobs. He's going to help turn that team into a money-making machine and a team that's competing for championships for a full generation. And I think that's why teams are more willing to roll the dice on that quarterback, because they know that if they win, they're winning a hell of a lot more than what they win by getting a great skill position player.
Michael, thanks for the call. Let's do it again soon. Always love your insight, and we'll check out who's on PFT PM later on today. What do you got?
All right, thanks, Rich.
You got it.
See you, pal.
Take it easy. All right, there you go. There's Florio. He's got to go. He's running off to do PFT PM right there. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.